Hey, it's Kevin. Thank you so much for coming by for another No BS social media chat. We've just wrapped up, an ugly election cycle. And now we've been doing the No BS updates now for 3 solid years, a little over 3 years. So we've never done one of these since a presidential election, meaning we've never been through the entire cycle. On the 4-year anniversary, we'll have gone through an entire cycle. But I've always been fascinated by, I don't want to say the marriage, but by the use of social media and politics over the course of the last, now 9 years. Barack Obama was really the first presidential candidate to utilize social media. He utilized social media to get out the young people, to activate young people 8 years ago. And while Mitt Romney tried 4 years ago to equal that, it wasn't quite the same. Well, I think this election cycle, we have a lot to learn from Donald Trump when it comes to social media. Whether you agree with his policies, whether you agree with his choice for presidency, whether you agree with his social media tactics, it's important that we look at the political process and we look at how politicians, not just Donald Trump, but Hillary Clinton, or I even dig into local politicians, state politicians, other national politicians to see how they utilize social media. Because I think we can learn some valuable lessons from how well candidates do and sometimes how poorly they do. I remember when I moved to Nashville a decade ago and I started talking about working in social media, and I started talking with record labels in particular about utilizing social media. They basically laughed at me and said nobody was ever going to pay for those services. I remember when the Obama campaign really started ramping up their social media activity with Facebook and Twitter 8 years ago. And a lot of people didn't see the storm coming. And then once the election was over, they realized what happened. They saw where they'd missed the boat. And I'm surprised that now, 8, 9, 10 years later, through the majority of this social media world, that people haven't looked at it and said, okay, it's a force. We need to utilize it. We need to be major players no matter what. And no matter what you do, whether you're a recording artist, whether you run a small business, whether you're working for a charity, whether you work in the media, you've always got competition. We're always vying for eyeballs, if you will, or vying for mind space, or vying for whatever with other individuals. And so we need to look at the people we compare ourselves to and say, how are we doing a better job? How are we utilizing these mostly free tools for our benefit? Again, it doesn't matter what you think about the political process, whether you like the results, whether you don't like the results. But I think if you step back and try to be as objective as possible, you'll be fascinated with it. Some people will say that Donald Trump won the presidential election because of his activity on social media. And I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I'll be honest with you. I mean, there's one thing I saw when I looked at my Facebook feed. The majority of people, and it may just be my friends, but my wife ran into the same thing with her friends, and again, those are people from different economic worlds, from different socio-political worlds. It was the same thing. The majority of our timelines were inundated with pro-Trump messages from people we're friends with, from people, that we know, people who I would have never expected to get involved, immersed in the political process. And if you go back through some of our videos, I'll tell you, stay away as much as possible from politics because you can upset people. I mean, I've got a laundry list of people who I saw that went a little bit overboard for their candidate, the candidate I was not pulling for. And I'll remember that. I didn't block them. I didn't delete them. Some people go to those extremes. Again, I'm always more interested in learning and watching and observing. And so when I saw all of this pro-Trump on Facebook, all of this pro-Trump on Twitter, I said, you know what? I don't care what the polls say. There's something going on here. And if my knowledge of social media is still going, there's some lessons to be learned here. And on election night, we found out pretty quickly that, that's what was happening, is that this groundswell, the pollsters may not have seen it. The people weren't talking to the people who were running the polls. But man, all they had to do was open up Facebook. All they had to do was open up Twitter and say, hey, there's something going on here, because those people were more engaged. The Trump followers were more energetic. And two, I think then he was able to use social media to get people to come out to his rallies. His rallies, I'm told, were much more attended than Hillary Clinton's, than anybody else's, even going back to the Republican nomination process. He used social media for that. So what I ask you, what valuable lesson can you take from this social media political world and utilize it for yourself? Again, it's not about politics. It's about using the tools that you have to get them to do what you need them to do. At the end of the day, think about it. Donald Trump hammered on social media, never took a day off. Boom, 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 boom. I know it can become a full-time job. I'll be honest with you, I don't know where a presidential candidate finds the time. Maybe it's while he's on an airplane, but he's getting briefings, he's talking. They're always learning. I don't know how he did it. But Donald Trump found the time for social media and found a way to win the election. Think about that valuable lesson and how it can work for you. Back next week, another No BS social media chat. Yeah, something to think about, isn't it? NoBSSocial.com, our website. You can find the videos on YouTube. You can find them on Facebook. Again, you can find them on the website. Wherever you found our video this week, please come back again next week. We'll talk more social media, another No BS social media chat. If you want to talk one-on-one, I'm all up for it, absolutely free. Phone number, email, all coming up at the end of the video. Thanks.